So I hope you guys enjoyed last week's video in Spain, seeing what these American Kestrel Peregrine hybrids are capable of in the right terrain, the right quarry, the right hands. They are undoubtedly a stunning looking hybrid falcon and very capable indeed. So I hope you enjoyed that, something different coming along with us. And I said on there, if you ever get the chance to go abroad and see falconry somewhere else, take that chance. But realistically, you don't have to go far. If your passion and the bird you fly is goshawks, if you get a chance to go out with the eagle boys or true long wingers, go and see that, and vice versa. Seeing other people in other terrains flying different raptors than you, I always find is definitely a worthwhile day out for sure. You really are. Just getting to appreciate something. You know, we can't do it all. Without a doubt, for most people, one hunting bird is way better than two or more hunting birds, the time you're putting in and so on. So we can't do it all. Equally, as much as I like training birds, equally, realistically, they get better year on year. So if you've got a good hunting bird and you're flying it year on year, you can't fly all the different species of raptors as well, hunting wise. Go and see, even for a day out in a season, see if you can tag along and watch other people's falconry for sure. Broaden your horizons, and at least we can enjoy watching other species being flown that we just don't have the ability or the time or the terrain to fly. This little thing pulling at the glove, it's not at all hungry. It's got food in its aviary, fat as a pig. Look at that. It's that habit of pulling and seeing what's there. Anyway, I'm out with Kyle today in the eagle stand over the estate. We're going to see if we can find hares. It's really misty today. The crisp blue sky and sunshine and hard frost is gone. The frost is here. It's 1 degree, but it's a bit more that horrible damp cold. That horrible damp cold that nothing likes, and far more worrying to me if I've got harrisawks from the wingtip Udema point of view than a blue sky hoarfrost where everything and all the moisture's locked up. Today it's cold and damp. One other thing before I say bye and we go out. Last week there was also a short video about the date of the falconer gathering. No one's protested, no one's found a reason that that date would fail due to other falconry events going on. So it is looking like the date. Watch this space. If you see these videos posted on social media, don't just comment on the thumbnail. They're there to give you information. The last video was probably 4 minutes long. It's not going to take up your time, but it's explaining more what's going on with the falconer gathering. So try and watch them if you can. Try and get the gen. Respond and feedback for sure. It's maybe 90% going to happen now. So just got to double check that date. Really be sure, but I think we're going to be putting that date out, and then it'll be fixed in place. It's for you to come and to cross your fingers for the weather. Catch you later. So Henry's coming out for a walk, and the reason being, his job at the Falconry Centre doesn't involve a lot of carrying. And someone recently asked me on the channel or on social media, took a second-hand harrisawk on, and it just won't stay on the glove. Totally well manned and that, as soon as he gets walking. And if you've got a harrisawk that you allow to fly whenever you like, off to trees and follow on, without maybe giving it a signal with your right hand first to say off you go, or lifting up the glove to signal the bird it's time to go, it can be the most irritating problem. The bird thinks it can fly whenever it wants, which, unless you're in a position to allow it to do that and you want to do that, drives you mad. So how can you get around that? Well, one thing is having the bird on weight, not fat, pointless, and although he is today, carriage without allowing it to fly. Use a pheasant wing or a pigeon wing, the old method, you know, a tiring, so it's got something to pull out and feed on. That's what it needs to be on weight, that you can take away maybe, or let it eat, just nibble away at, and then pass it another one as its rations. Don't bother doing any other training at that stage. Feed it some tirings that it's pulling at for quite a while, but only getting a certain amount of food from. That's why wings are good. Don't let it swallow a quail wing whole. They can actually choke on them as it folds up in their crop. But just literally go backwards. Don't go out letting it fly off. Just do lots of carriage with interesting things around it, but keeping it interested in staying on the glove with tirings. I hope that makes sense, but it's certainly, you've got to go back and break a habit. With most animals, not allowing a habit to form is much easier than trying to rectify or work around a habit. But that's where we are with Henry, and that's why he's out today. He's not here to chase hares.
Yeah, you can see it. Oh, it went out of focus.
Stayed in the hedge. Clever one again. Now, when you're flying eagles and you're out on your own with one bird, something maybe if you fly, I don't know, harrisawks following on, or goshawks off the fish to a degree, eagles with those big wings and big muscles, after a decent slip and a decent chase, they actually do need recovery time. They quickly become sort of tired with multiple slips back to back, and it's not to do with being unfit, it is just the amount of effort they put in. Remember, in the wild, these birds' favourite attack would be to soar and stoop, level off at high speed. We're asking these birds to do a standing start, get those big cumbersome wings going, and you know, that's 50 yards, 50 metres really, before they're up to any kind of speed. They carry way more speed than you can imagine, and you only really see how fast they're going as they close on their prey. But yeah, we've had two clever hares. The fields here, they're not huge at all, and they learn to use the hedgerows. Some of them will run straight through, other ones they'll stop under a thicket and they'll stay put for sure. It's true. Oh, unlucky. So we're just talking, this eagle, Stan, started the season on fire. Shut up. Absolutely on fire. Now, a few problems crept in. He hasn't taken a hare now for quite a few outings, I'd say. He's trying hard, but a few problems. I'm just saying to Kyle, when golden eagles are going well, they're as easy as any harrisort. But they are very complex things, much like harrisorts, I guess, but mentally. And for sure now, Kyle's really having to ring the changes, try new things to get Stan, get his head back into place. Not just taking game, but his whole behaviour and so on. It's not easy with eagles. It's not easy because of the work involved due to their size and the terrain you're covering. But they are, golden eagles are complex animals for sure. Weight off may well be an answer. Equally, it might be totally the wrong thing to do, and the bird that's flown brilliantly at one weight might now need to be at a higher weight. All you can do is slight experiments until you can find their sweet spot again, which may be a completely different set of parameters to what their sweet spot was just 6 weeks before, for instance. While the eagle's being flown, Harris hawk is hooded. Another massive benefit to hooding your hawks is if you're hawking with other people, the hooded hawk keeps calm and still, can be easily shielded by your body. Any bird loose in the field that misses game, or indeed doesn't even slip game properly, is going to be very attracted to someone else's bird baiting on the glove. A lot of accidents happen that way for sure, certainly with novices. The hooded bird can be kept calm and shielded away. Another great aspect of the hood. Anyway, another slip coming up. So I've been hawking with eagles on this field for, I don't know, 12, 13 years. It's a very technical field because it's got a deep bowl in the middle that makes it look like you can attain a nice downhill flight, which every eagle loves. But apart from one corner, it goes steeply uphill, or certainly steeply for Northamptonshire. So by the time the eagles sort of got on terms and got up to speed, 50 metres, there's one just the hare, like that one, is totally off position. The hare is already going uphill. A well-needed kill there for the eagle, off camera, lie of the land. Fantastic. It's been a bit of a drought, and that's really not good for the bird's confidence. There's a hot meal on a cold day. That's really going to get that bird's head back into gear. It really has been. Kyle's worked so hard, a lot of slips, a ridiculously brilliant start, and a very difficult mid-season sort of stalemate there. So let's go and see.
Ah! Come on, lad. Yes!
That was a good slip, yeah, it was. It all went to plan. But like you say, it wasn't an easy... It wasn't like an easy one, it was still a decent slip, wasn't it? So, good confidence boost. Oh, we're getting a good feed up. You'll be right.
I ain't got time for days.
deserved it. It's been a long time. With me being a novice eagle falconer and messing up and ruining.
Is he secure?
6 weeks, yeah, 6 weeks of our season. Come round, Lisa. He's going to do what Tom did with that rabbit now. Oh, yeah, give him a big reward. Imagine 6 weeks of not having one.
Oh, it's a bit bigger than a rabbit, isn't it? Yeah. They're actually real smooth here. They've got a neck.
So you've got to remember the bird's not a vegetarian, we're not vegetarians, and most of you watching this are not vegetarians.
I felt like one flying in.
Yeah. So definitely poor hair. But remember, the hares are protected here. Because this is a hunting estate, the hare population is much higher than all the surrounding land, because they're only allowed to be taken by falconry birds, which is very, very few and far between. Of course, the slow, the stupid, and so on, just like these predators were designed to do. Golden eagles and hares have evolved together. We've just managed to kill off all the golden eagles in England. The hares still have the DNA, they know what to do, as you've already seen today. So if you're upset by harvesting wild meat from the land, as always, look at where your meat comes from properly, its life, its death, and so on. This bird has true bloodlust, absolute bloodlust, for the very meaning of the word. That's its dinner: cold chicken or a hot, calorie high red meat. And it's worked very, very, very hard to get to this point again this season. So without a doubt, love and kudos to the hare. We're all passionate about hares and conservation. The paradox is we do spend the winter hunting hares. So this bird, of course, won't be going after anymore. It's having a good feed up for after its drought of catching. Relying on handouts today, it's earned its own dinner. Have a really good flight. Kyle's depression will lift because there's nothing more demoralising than working with a bird that's flying well and working hard but not gaining any success.
Trade off. Fair exchange.
Fair exchange. So you can see the eagle hasn't batted an eyelid. The eagle's pulling at food, nice bit of food on the glove, while we make that fair exchange. And that is what falconry is about. The bird gets its share and the falconer and his family get their meat for the coming days or weeks ahead, without any robbing of the bird. Not certainly to the bird's knowledge, for sure. He's going to get a full day's hot meat, but the falconer goes away with his own rations, or future rations for the bird, of course. Despite what many snowflake or uneducated people in society think, that is a more ethically sourced meat than any meat you will get in any butcher, more or less, and certainly any supermarket. You just can't source more ethical meat than that eagle has just secured for the family. So Moose has been coming out with us. He's a keen biologist, ornithologist, and very, very keen to become a falconer.
Become a vegan now.
Yeah.
All this.
So he's going to
gore.
experience just what it's like to carry an eagle over rough ground. But
yeah,
we're all here to try and help out young up and coming people that are truly passionate.
I know he does that.
And this guy really is.
You bring him in and he'll settle. When we start walking,
When he's done all his studying, he really does want to work in some context with birds especially, but raptors are his absolute love.
Need an armrest.
Nice one. So talking about if you are a veggie and you feel that that's better for wildlife, this oilseed rape has been mullered by thousands and thousands of wood pigeons. They have to be controlled to interrupt their feeding daily cycles and moved on, or there would be no food for anyone that likes vegetarian stuff. Everything wants to eat our crops, and that's why, of course, we don't have insects like we did. We're at a 40% to 50% loss of insects by volume in the UK and most of the world. The skies are empty of birds, and the massive bulk of the reason for that is agriculture. Growing, more than anything else, plants that are sprayed, plants that are cultivated so that the land doesn't provide winter forage for birds. Our farming methods, and this isn't nothing to do with the farmers, this is driven by greed, money, and our desirity for cheapness. We want stuff cheap, has created a world, and certainly in England, that is devoid of insects, devoid of birds. Legal hunting by proper hunters, i.e. people that love the countryside, that love the animals they hunt, paradoxically, and are passionate conservationists, has no impact negatively on our ecosystems or the species that we hunt. If you're really, really passionate about saving wildlife, either you do something to change farming practices, and good luck with that when it's owned by the mega rich multinational companies, or instead of lobbying hunters, think about lobbying for domestic cats that are allowed to free roam outside. And if you find that hard to swallow, for goodness sakes, just do a little bit of research, even Google research, to see in the UK alone, let alone the world, the sheer volume of British wildlife that is killed just by domestic cats that are allowed out the house. If a falconer wishes to hunt, for instance, songbirds here in the UK, he or she has to apply for a licence and then has to do return slips to say exactly what they caught and how many. It is monitored, it is regulated, and to be honest, in the face of all the millions of cats in the UK, it's also completely ridiculous, to be honest. We don't mind doing it because we're conservationists, and it provides data for species, numbers, and so on. It's a very complex system we live in, but those that lobby against hunters are really becoming part of the problem, not part of the solution. Now, once the shooting season stops, that gives us the month of February on all of that land, which is always good because it only gets flown by falconry birds for 1 month. Do not tell any of our other halves. And we finished really early, the birds have been fed up. We're going to go and have one pint in a pub. Don't tell anyone. Oh.
First cock pheasant of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, first one in about 2 years, I think.
Wow.
Left them last year.
So I've been reading a book recently. I say reading, Audible, while I'm driving around to work. So apt and fitting for what has become kind of the topic of this video, although this video never had a topic. It is just a journal, Mews News, but it kind of had a bit of a theme, and that is hunting, conservation, ethics, bit of vegetarianism. This book is worth a read from anyone. Anyone that likes any kind of hunting and anyone that likes any kind of wildlife. White hunters, firstly, they're not all white men, they're not all white, and they're not British, all of them either. A topic that to me really passing interest. I've got no interest in going big game shooting. Equally, I've got the same amount of interest or lack of in going to see the big game for a wildlife safari photography session. If I'm going to go to Africa in a wildlife context, then to me, I want to be going somewhere looking for snakes. I've got no huge interest in the big game. It's just not my thing. Creepy crawlies, reptiles, way more interesting than riding around on the back of a Land Rover, taking a picture of a lion, having a siesta. Nah. But it's a great book to read for everyone with an open mind. The protectionists among us that have no thought of conservation, just are that poor animal. I would imagine a lot of protectionists do have domestic cats they let outside. How ironic's that? It really gives you the history of the big game hunting in Africa, and what you'll learn is, certainly back in the day, this was a sporting chance. This wasn't shooting something with a high velocity rifle at a long range. These guys and women, men and women, were getting killed, badly mauled and injured on a regular basis as they stood on foot right up close with very, very dangerous quarry. This was a sporting chance for sure. That aside, what you'll really learn is two things. As places like Kenya became farmed for people that at the end of the day like coffee and like eating greens, how many of these animals had to be cleared. Elephants, water buffalo, lions for those that were farming, goats and sheep, cleared in their thousands. Oh, that's terrible. Guys, look at Britain, where I live. We cleared our animals off long ago so we could farm. Long ago. We've already done it. You'll also see how the majority, if not all of those white hunters that were paid to take you out to shoot animals were massive conservationists, and they loved the animals they hunted, just like pretty much all hunters today. But what a lot of people don't realise, and they gobsmack when I tell them, is hunters were the first conservationists. They were the people that invented conservation. So if you go on Africa safari, photoing animals, bear in mind, those whole areas were set aside legally to save those animals by hunters. Hunters set up the game parks and the safari parks. We live in a world now, people have got so far removed from what the world seems to be and what nature is. Honestly, get a chance to put that on your audio books while you drive along. It's a really long book. Absolutely fascinating tales. But go back in history, see where some of this began. See how much even those big game great white hunters that seem to get a bad rap nowadays, see how they helped save those animals in Africa that people love to see now. You can still go big game hunting in Africa. You can pay a lot of money. It's what keeps the place going. It's what keeps those animals there and stops them being wiped out completely. They've got a value, they'll stay. If they've got no value, they'll disappear. See you in the next one.